starts now.
And right now at 8 o'clock, the Bears shift their focus over state lines. The Indiana lawmakers marching forward with plans to host a new stadium, but this is not a done deal. We will explain.
The Supreme Court is preparing a decision that will decide the fate of President Trump's economic agenda. What a ruling on tariffs could mean for your wallet.
Plus some severe weather. Storms sweep through Illinois and down south left a trail of damage in their wake. We will show you the aftermath of a tornado that hit downstate.
And say goodbye to the warm spring-like temperatures we've been enjoying. The cold is back, and it's all thanks to Mike Kaplan.
That's hard. Sorry, Mike.
I have a calendar. I have a calendar back in the area where I work, and it does say February on it. I've just had to double.
Okay, good.
I double checked on that one. It's a Barry
Settled.
Butler calendar, a great photographer, and we're going to get a reminder that it's February here. We have cold temperatures, we have wind, and yes, there's even some snow on the way. So planning your day, get ready to see some of that snow here later this morning. It's not going to be a lot, but it may coat the ground. I think the roads are just going to be wet. Temperatures getting back into the mid-30s. It's going to stay windy all day, though. It's kind of a raw day on the way. Right now, it's only 30 at O'Hare and Aurora and Midway and Morris and Kane. It was a pretty popular number there. Even Valparaiso down to 30. And when this snow moves in, I mean, it's going to have a chance to stick. But again, I think the roads are going to be just wet. 45-mile-an-hour wind currently gusting at Midway. About the same at Valparaiso, Kankakee, and O'Hare. We'll keep that wind advisory in effect for the Chicago area right on through the afternoon hours. Anthony, any impact on our commute with all
Let's check the travel times here. Oh, we're gonna move on to some breaking news. This is actually impacting travel in Harvey as we take a look at a freight train that derailed there. This is the scene near 140th and Spalding Avenue. CSX has 17 cars went off the tracks. The train is blocking crossings at Roby Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Western Avenue this morning. So fortunately, no one is hurt. The train didn't leak or spill anything hazardous, we are told. Authorities still trying to figure out how that derailment happened. And again, train travel is not impacted this morning, but those three crossings are. So heads up if you drive in and around Harvey. Okay, the news still kind of sinking in here that the Chicago Bears could be moving out of the state.
Our Saquon joins us live from Soldier Field. Good morning, Say.
Morning to you. Yeah, we are here at Soldier Field right now, the current home of the Bears. And as those Bears fans kind of let that news sink in, just know it's not a done deal, at least yet. I want to show you this aerial view here of the proposed site in Hammond, Indiana. And look at this. It's a long ways away from that beautiful Chicago skyline, which hugs the current home of the Bears. The Bears put out a statement yesterday saying that the team would be shifting towards this, Hammond, to build their new stadium. So for some context here, guys, Hammond is about 20 miles from Soldier Field. Takes roughly 30 minutes to get there without traffic, but it is also about 10 minutes from that skyway that leads right into Chicago. This all comes after the Indiana House Ways and Means Committee passed a bill that essentially just creates the legal and financial framework to move forward with the new stadium. We heard from the mayor of Hammond, who doubled down on why this would be a good move for the Bears.
The Bears today in their press release mentioned their commitment to finishing the due diligence to fulfill their vision and make a site near Wolf Lake and Hammond their future home, and to build a world-class stadium there. This legislation sets out and establishes the framework for the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority and the Stadium Board, where Hammond and other governmental entities have representation to help set up property acquisition, finance, leasing, construction, and operation of the stadium once built.
Illinois lawmakers, on the other hand, say they were blindsided after a 3-hour meeting on Wednesday on legislation that would give the Bears tax certainty and allow them to build in Arlington Heights. They were actually scheduled to have a hearing on that legislation yesterday, but lawmakers said it was the Bears that called off that hearing and that CEO Kevin Warren was a no-show. Governor Pritzker not too thrilled about that Bears statement yesterday. Listen.
To have a statement put out by the Bears, now they're saying to us that that statement is not some confirmation that they're moving to Indiana, but rather that Indiana had asked them to say that, you know, they're going to move forward with the negotiations in Indiana.
This is a project, guys, that would cost the Bears $2 billion. And keep in mind, there's still a lot that needs to be done here. First, this has to pass through the full House and the Senate in Indiana before it gets sent to the governor's office for approval. Back to you.
Okay, say real quick, what about the deal that the Bears still have in place for the location where you're at right now, Soldier Field?
Yeah, great question. Soldier Field is owned by Chicago Park District, not the Chicago Bears. So keep in mind that, the Bears right now are basically renting out this space. So of course that lease is up and running right now. It actually runs through the year 2033. And they do have the option to break that lease early if they want. And that is eligible as of this year. So if they wanted to leave as early as this year, for example, it would cost them anywhere between $84 and $90 million. And keep in mind, too, that price tag not included as part of that $2 billion that they would be contributing towards this project overall. Back to you.
Wow. Okay, Say, thank you for that update. Appreciate it. It's 8:05, and there has been a slight change in the schedule for the services that are going to honor the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will now lie in state in Washington, D.C., and then in his native South Carolina, along with several events here in Chicago. Reverend Jackson will lie in state at the Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters next Thursday and Friday. Then the services in South Carolina and D.C. will be held right after that from March 1st through the 5th. And then there will be a people's celebration at House of Hope here in Chicago March 6th. And then the next day, a private homegoing celebration will happen at Rainbow Push March 7th.
And speaking of, we know that all political leaders, dignitaries, and admirers of all stripes have been reflecting on Jackson's legacy as an icon in the civil rights movement. The national president of the Urban League, Mark Morial, told us his own memory of Jackson after sneaking into a New Orleans hotel as a teenager to watch him speak.
The thing about it is, at the time, he was in his early 30s. At the time, he had a great big afro. For us, at 15 and 16, he was a relatable leader. And in his early career, I think that was his special sauce. He was relatable to a younger generation and inspired so many of us, I think, to take up the cause of equal justice, to take up the cause of social justice, but also to offer ourselves for public office.
We will have you covered live on the services honoring Jackson right here on Fox32Chicago.com and, of course, on Fox Local as well. All right, switching gears, because today the Supreme Court has another chance to release a decision on President Trump's tariff authority.
Brian Jackson joins us to explain what is at stake here. Brian.
This is something we've definitely been keeping our eyes on. And depending on the ruling, this could undercut the very foundation of the president's economic plans. This case stems from a lawsuit filed by a group of business leaders last spring, most notably one from Vernon Hills called Learning Resources. President Trump used emergency powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act in order to impose the tariffs, and the plaintiffs argued that that was unlawful. Last week, researchers at the New York Federal Reserve Bank said households and businesses paid 90% of the tariffs imposed last year. The White House disputes those findings.
The United States Supreme Court for many, many months waiting for a decision on tariffs. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble right now.
The president is making life harder and less affordable with tariff taxes on working families and small businesses. Trade wars devastating farmers.
The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that tariffs could reduce deficits by $3 trillion over the next decade. But if the High Court rules that the president exceeded his authority, the U.S. may have to pay back well over $100 billion already collected. Now, today is the court's first day in session after their 3-week-long winter break. So if we do not get that decision today, we could see it at one of the upcoming sessions on potentially Tuesday or Wednesday. Anthony?
Okay, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Parts of downstate Illinois this morning cleaning up after a tornado moved through that area. February tornado, as we take a look at video out of Flat Rock in Crawford County. That is about an hour south of Terre Haute. We are hearing at least a dozen buildings. Most of them were mobile homes are damaged. And fortunately, Mike, no word of any injuries, anyone hurt.
Very lucky there.
Yeah.
This was an area that was kind of well advertised. We're going to have a risk of tornadoes yesterday. So hopefully folks there, took heed and were weather ready there. We had a few showers here, a little bit of rain, but now There's some snow on the way. What did he say? What did he just say? Did he say snow's on? Just a little bit. But look at these temperatures. We already had our high for the day. Now we're kind of stuck in these low 30s for a while. It's only 30 at O'Hare, the lakefront, Midway, 32 at Gary. And when you throw these winds out there, which at times are gusting to more than 45 miles per hour, it really feels cold. We've got a 45-mile-an-hour gust at Midway, 40 at Valparaiso, 43-mile-per-hour gust at O'Hare. So this is why we have a wind advisory in effect for all of Chicagoland through the late afternoon hours. Low pressure, you can see that counterclockwise swirl right there. The heaviest snow is to our north, but we're going to get clipped with some of these snow showers here in the next couple of hours. Not a lot here, but maybe enough to whiten the ground in a few spots. I think the roads are going to just be wet. The pavement temperatures are nice and mild, relatively speaking. During the afternoon, maybe a couple peaks of sunshine. During the day tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Maybe another snow shower sneaking in during the evening hours. Again, there's no big snowstorm in sight, but you are going to see some occasional snow here for a couple of days and colder temperatures. I'll show you that 7-day. In fact, we had a little sneak preview of that coming up here, but I'll go into some detail in just a couple of minutes. Back to you both.
Thank you, Mike. After the arrest of former Prince Andrew, there are new questions about the Epstein sex trafficking investigation in the U.S. The president of World Without Exploitation joins us with what survivors hope to see.
And we're going to have more weather coverage next up as well. But as we head to break, here's a quick look at that 7-day forecast, which is a little more winter-like for a change. We'll be right back.
What are you girls doing?
We're doing all the heating, plumbing, and electric around here.
All right, I know you girls know stuff, but let's leave it to our trusted local experts. Let's call Four Seasons.
It's about time you figured it out.
Whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, air duct cleaning, or generators, you can always trust Four Seasons.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
Welcome back. The time is now 8:14. Here are some of the top stories we're following this morning.
We are following an early morning freight train derailment, I should say, in Harvey as we take a look at the scene near 140th and Spalding Avenues. CSX has 17 cars on that train, went off the tracks. Train is now blocking 3 different crossings. They are Roby Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Western Avenue. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The train did not leak anything hazardous. Authorities are still trying to figure out how this derailment happened.
The owner of a Hinsdale spa will go before a judge this morning after police say he filmed clients using a hidden camera. That 51-year-old is Jason White Spencer. He's the owner of Reflection Spa. According to the indictment, he's facing 64 felony counts for allegedly recording customers without their knowledge. Prosecutors say the videos were apparently made between mid-July and late November of 2024.
There has been a change in the schedule for services honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will now lie in state in Washington, D.C., and then in his native South Carolina. Reverend Jackson will then lie in repose at Rainbow Push next Thursday and Friday. The People's Celebration homegoing services will now be held March 6th and March 7th. That service on March 7th is a private one, but they are going to be streaming it so folks can watch online.
And tune in.
Yeah, exactly. All right. 8:15, let's head over to Mike Kaplan and see how cold we're getting after this warm stretch.
Back to you. You don't want to know this.
No?
You don't want to.
Skip it over.
Just skip right over it?
No.
We've had such a run, though. Come on. The past, including today, believe it or not, 12 days in a row with above average temperatures, a full week in a row of highs in the 50s and 60s. Screeching halt. All right, here, take a look at the radar. Blue is snow, and there are some light snow showers in the area. But let me switch over here to kind of our broader view of the radar, and you can see the bigger zone of snow that has really been falling in Iowa overnight and is also hitting Wisconsin pretty hard. We're kind of on the southern end of that, so we will get some of this snow here this morning. It's just not going to be a lot, maybe enough to whiten the ground, but I think the roads are going to be no worse than just wet, and I can't imagine a scenario where anybody's going to be out there with the snow blower. But these temperatures will enable some of that snow to stick. It's 32 at Aurora, Joliet, 33 Woodstock and Waukegan. How about Northwest Indiana? 32 at Gary, not far from the purported new home of the Bears in Hammond. 32 at Michigan City. 31 right now in Rensselaer. We're going to top out for official high 46. That happened several hours ago. Now we're stuck in the 30s. Plenty of cloud cover, maybe a few peaks of late afternoon sunshine, but there's also going to be some light snow. Main story, though, are these winds, which are gusting in several spots to more than 40 miles per hour, including Kankakee, Midway, Valparaiso up there with a 40. We've also got a 43-mile-an-hour gust at O'Hare. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. Yeah, looks a little bit more like winter here, right on into early next week. Couple of scattered snow showers here or there, but no big snowstorm in sight. And we moderate temperatures next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the 40s with a chance of rain on Wednesday. Gabrielle?
Thank you, Mike. 8:17 now. We're finding out this morning the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been released from custody as police investigate his possible ties to Jeffrey Epstein. They arrested him yesterday for allegedly sending confidential information to the convicted sex offender trafficker. In the U.S., the Justice Department has released millions of files related to Epstein, as we know. They mentioned several prominent figures, though no one has been charged. Rachel Foster is president of World Without Exploitation. She's here to talk about the significance of this latest development. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Let's start with our first question, I guess. How is World Without Exploitation looking at the Epstein case kind of with a broader lens, right, that tells us more about sex trafficking and exploitation?
So we have been working on issues around commercial sexual exploitation for over a decade, and we really came to this through our other work. The Epstein case really highlights how vulnerable people are easily preyed upon by those who have incredible power and access, and that there's layers of protection where they're not held accountable and where we've normalized this predation in a certain sense by seeing it as what men do, not all men, but that sex buying or sexual exploitation is customary, is normalized and protected. And this case is so important because it signals to survivors everywhere about whether or not people will be held accountable if they come forward with allegations of sexual violence. And this has such a chilling effect because the release of the 3 million documents, and there are 3 million more files that have not been released, so exposed the victims while holding predators silence in a certain way because they were redacted, whether they were conspirators or they were enablers or some way in that universe that needs to be investigated. But survivors had incredibly damaging information to them released. And it's been incredibly harmful and distressing. And we haven't seen the accountability that they want and certainly the transparency.
You know, somewhat on that note, Rachel, just to kind of dive a little deeper in the release of those files, what issues, like you said, arose for survivors in terms of what was redacted and what information was left exposed? What are the survivors asking for from the DOJ at this point?
So they're asking for full transparency. They want the release of all the files with their identifying information protected. First of all, there was a list of 32 names with it labeled as victims where one was redacted. So that document was touched and it was released exposing all those names. There were nude photographs released of minors and young women. There was all sorts of identifying information, social security numbers, telephone numbers, addresses, names of victims. So they want the other 3 million files released with their information redacted. But unredacted would be those who were part of this vast network. We know, according to the Department of Justice, that there are over 1,200 victims. We know there are more. So they even released the names of Jane Does, women who had remained really in sort of hiding for 30 years are now exposed. So they want responsible redactions that protect them but don't protect the perpetrators.
You know, Rachel, we kind of have to ask or, wonder, how did we get to the place where this kind of exploitation is normalized and permitted?
Well, we have to look at the demand for commercial sex, the access to those who are most vulnerable. We cannot normalize the predation by those with power in various ways against those who are vulnerable. So we know that there's a nexus between early childhood sexual abuse, the foster care system, other forms of incredible vulnerability and poverty. And we have a way in which our culture allows people to think that they are buying consent of those who are most vulnerable. They're either turning a blind eye to it, or they're participating and we're not holding them accountable. We need to really look at the demand side. What allows us as a culture to protect those who are perpetrating crimes against minors and vulnerable young women and boys as well? And there's sort of this attitude of there's nothing to see here, where we really do need to look at that and hold people accountable for the devastating harm they cause.
I think you're right, Rachel. Rachel Foster, president of World Without Exploitation, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
8:23, we'll be right back after this short break.
We've paid the
is responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back. Today, Governor Pritzker will be highlighting his push to ban cell phones in Illinois schools. He will join students and teachers at Oak Park River Forest High School a little later this morning. And the goal of the ban here is to fight distractions in school while improving mental health and also curbing cyberbullying. The ban would apply to grades K through 12 with exceptions for medical reasons and for emergencies.
An appeals court is reinstating a $20 million class action lawsuit over the city of Chicago's ticketing practices. If you're one of the more than 90,000 people ticketed by the Chicago police for using a cell phone while driving, there's a chance that you might be a part of this. The lawsuit claims instead of sending those cases to circuit court as required by state law, the city instead funneled tickets into its own Department of Administrative Hearings and collected millions of dollars in fines it wasn't entitled to.
But the problem for the city is that if they send these tickets to the circuit court where they belong, they have to share the fine with the state and the county. If they send these tickets to their administrative court, they get to keep every penny of the fine. So what the city did was they simply broke the law and sent all these tickets to the administrative court.
If the judge rules against the city, drivers included in the lawsuit would be entitled to whatever their fine was, ranging from an average of $100 to $500. Mike.
All right, we have a little light precipitation falling. Take a look at this view. This is our roof camera, and it's coated in a little thin layer of ice right now. Temperatures have dropped below freezing in many areas, and there is some snow on the way. We're looking at the radar and the forecast coming up.
Cook County.
Welcome back. We never seem to have enough time to go over all the big stories when Fox News Sunday host Shannon Preem joins us, but we are going to try. Yes.
Shannon, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Of course. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Okay, let's get right into things. Major developments in the Middle East, really. So the U.S. has sent dozens of fighter jets and bombers within striking distance of Iran, and President Trump says he's weighing his next move, really. So, Shannon, how did we get here? You know, what could happen next?
So really, the recent demonstrations in the streets seem to really reignite this whole conversation about the leadership, potential for regime change there in Iran. Remember our strikes, those precision strikes last year on their nuclear program really put, Iran on its back feet. I mean, just sort of scrambling when it came to that program. So the U.S. has said, we want to negotiate over that and other things like missiles and humanitarian rights issues. Iran says, we'll only talk about the nuclear program, but these indirect talks we've been having the last few weeks have not really closed that gap. So we've moved our military assets into the region, and we're told every option for President Trump's on the table.
Okay. Meantime, yesterday, former Prince Andrew was arrested for allegedly sharing some confidential info with Jeffrey Epstein back in 2010. Now, Andrew is denied wrongdoing, but this whole episode apparently prompting some members of Congress to demand that federal officials follow suit in pursuing arrests here in the U.S. What's the next course of action here?
Yeah, so for the victims' advocates, disappointed that Andrew wasn't arrested on what they say are more serious charges with potentially, sex assault, trafficking, those kinds of things they want to see connected to Epstein. They want those charges brought. But this was about potentially sharing insider trade information, that kind of thing. But the fact that a senior royal member of the family could be arrested so publicly and on his birthday and with no protection from the king, it's raising a lot of questions about why we're not having those arrests here. So, listen, we're told that all of the files, all of the information are now public, and there are people that here in the U.S. it's cost them. I mean, they've had to step down, they've had to resign from different places, and whether that results in criminal charges for anybody, we're still waiting.
All right, Shannon, looking ahead to next week now, we know that President Trump is getting ready to deliver his State of the Union address on Tuesday. It's going to be the first time of his second term. What do you think he'll really talk about?
I think he's going to want to hammer the economy. Now, GDP numbers that came out today were not great for the last quarter, and they'll say that was prompted by the shutdown, which lasted 43 days. They'll blame Democrats and say we couldn't move anything forward without their votes, which was true. But that is the one piece of the puzzle that's not good for them right now. They'll point to jobs and inflation, wage growth, and they'll say things are getting better. You're going to get good tax return. I think the president's going to want to paint a very strong economic picture, while also saying, I've gotten a lot of things done on the international stage. We will have Hakeem Jeffries, the top Democrat in the House, with us exclusively on Sunday. He's going to show up. He says Democrats need to be there in silent resistance to the president's policies, but we'll see if there's anything they do agree on.
Okay. Anyone else joining you along with Mr. Jeffries there on Sunday?
Yeah, from the other side of the aisle, we will have Senator Jim Banks, Republican, to talk about this issue with foreign policy, with Iran, and some other issues. And we'll also have Congressman Wesley Hunt. He is one of the kind of outsiders trying to break through on this big race out of Texas for the U.S. Senate. It's a seat Republicans have to hold.
Shannon Bream, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
8:34 now. We're switching gears over to some breaking news. So we're following an early morning freight train derailment in Harvey. This is the scene right now. This is near 140th and Spalding Avenue. CSX says 17 cars went off the tracks, but the train is blocking some crossings. It's at Roby Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Western Avenue. So be aware for your morning commute and possibly afternoon commute. Luckily, no one was hurt. The train did not leak or spill anything, but authorities are still trying to figure out how this derailment happened. This isn't impacting Metra.
All right, heads up, there's been a change in the schedule for services honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will now lie in state in Washington, D.C., and then in his native South Carolina. Reverend Jackson will then lie in repose at the Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters next Thursday and Friday. Then the services will happen in South Carolina and D.C. Then he'll come back to the Chicago area a little bit later. There's going to be a people's celebration at House of Hope in Chicago on March 6th, and then a private celebration, a homegoing celebration, is also happening at Rainbow Push. That is happening Saturday, March 7th with limited capacity. That service is going to be streamed online as well, so everyone can watch. All right, parts of downstate Illinois are cleaning up this morning after a rare February tornado moved through that area. As we take a look at some video out of Flat Rock, that's in Crawford County, about an hour south of Terre Haute.
The ways we could see the funnel cloud coming, and I mean within just seconds, like it just hit. The house shook. We lost the roof up of our workshop, stuff out back. We have 2 houses that are south of us. There was a trailer that was overturned with the lady that was trapped in it. And then right next to that was a modular home that was totally destroyed as well.
We are hearing at least a dozen buildings, most of them mobile homes, are damaged, and it is just some of the aftermath from severe storms that moved across the state late Thursday.
Some crazy video. You know, Mike, I have been reaching out to some of my friends and family, Fox Chicago correspondents, and they say that the wind is really taking their breath away.
Yeah.
So we're walking outside.
You got a whole team of field producers out there.
You guys don't get access
You
to that
got to
kind of
have
stuff.
your army of helpers out there. Well, it's super windy out there, and the temperatures have tanked. We had 58 for the high yesterday. Take a look at these numbers behind me. It's freezing or below across most of Chicagoland. 30s on the nose at O'Hare, at Midway, 31 at the lakefront, 30 at Valparaiso. Only a couple of spots above freezing and just barely around Waukegan and Woodstock. And those winds continue to clip at sometimes more than 40 at O'Hare and Midway. It's going to be a rough ride flying this morning anywhere in the Chicago airspace, that's for sure. We got a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust at Valparaiso, too. Wind advisory until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Nothing magical happens at 4. The winds will die back slowly. We have low pressure whirling in from the west, and you can see snow now overspreading the area. Yeah, it is all snow, something we've seen precious little of this whole month. Less than an inch of snow has fallen for the first 3 weeks of February. Our high happened already. It was 46. Now we're going to be in the low to mid 30s for the rest of the day with a gusty wind and these snow showers this morning. 38, 35, 35 the next 3 days with some spotty light snow at times. No big snowstorm in sight. And temperatures moderate Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday back in the 40s with a chance for some rain on Wednesday. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Remember this, Anthony. A historian told us this week that some of us are sitting on truly historic properties without even realizing. So at 9, he's back to walk us through the researching your home's history. He'll show us some of the local hidden gems as well. Time is now 8:41, and breaking this morning, we're following an early morning freight train derailment in Harvey. So this was a scene right now near 140th and Spalding Avenue. CSX says 17 cars went off the tracks here. The train is blocking some crossings at Roby Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Western Avenue, so be aware for this morning and potentially this afternoon's commute. No one was hurt, and the train did not leak or spill anything. Authorities are still trying to figure out how the derailment happened. The owner of a Hinsdale spa will go before a judge this morning after police say he filmed clients using a hidden camera. That is 51-year-old Jason Wade Spencer. He's the owner of Reflection Spa. According to an indictment, he's facing 64 felony counts for allegedly recording customers without their knowledge. Prosecutors say the videos were apparently made between mid-July and late November of 2024. Today, the Supreme Court has another chance to release a decision on President Trump's tariff authority. The case stems from a lawsuit filed by a group of businesses last spring, most notably one from Vernon Hills, that's Learning Resources. Trump used emergency powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose tariffs, and the plaintiffs argue that it was unlawful. Anthony.
Okay, thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. We have been talking a lot about the Bears, football, their relocation. Time to talk basketball, though. Hoops. Big Ten men's basketball tournament back in Chicago in just a matter of weeks. And there's a lot of excitement on tap. Kara Bachman is executive director of the Chicago Sports Commission, is here to talk about their upcoming tournament here. Kara, this is exciting stuff. Big Ten men's basketball tourney has a long history at the United Center. It's coming back next month. Can you talk to us about why Chicago has been this long-standing home? Why is this such a good fit for the Big Ten tourney?
Well, we have, first of all, a huge population of alum. I know you yourself,
among
Indiana,
them,
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're everywhere.
Right. You have many fellow alum from Indiana and so many other Big Ten schools. So it's a great hotbed, just a great place for the Big Ten to bring their teams to be successful. We constantly are just setting records when we host Big Ten in terms of ticket sales. And United Center, you don't get a better venue. So they love coming here. They love being here. Their conference is actually headquartered in Rosemont. So it's kind of their home.
It's a good little home. Okay, so this season we've seen some dominant performances from Big Ten teams, with Michigan at the top, Illinois doing really well. They beat my Hoosiers, unfortunately. Others right behind. Why should fans across the Midwest and beyond be excited about seeing these teams in Chicago specifically?
Well, it happens to always coincide with that little thing we do with the river and dyeing it green.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, aside from that, there's really something for everyone at all times in Chicago. But when you're coming in for Big Ten, men's Big Ten basketball tournament, we have lots of excitement for St. Patrick's Day celebration. But this year in particular, Chicago is hosting for the first time ever this expanded tournament. So the Big Ten, some people are trying to keep track how many teams.
Yeah.
But it's 18.
It's 18 now. I was like,
teams,
okay, we're
right?
over 20 at this point.
Yeah, so we're getting close. But when we started hosting the tournament, it was a 4-day tournament. Then it moved into a 5-day tournament. It is now a 6-day tournament at the United Center. So giving people, 6 different days where they can catch games. And so that's 9 sessions of basketball. So from Tuesday to the championship on Sunday. All 18 teams will participate in the tournament, single elimination, but that will bring fans from across the, both coasts at this point.
That's so cool. And the fact that it's a week-long celebration, hopefully the weather will be amazing. I understand you guys are also hosting an event featuring the Big Ten commissioner. Let's hear about that.
Yes. So this is our first tournament. Last time we hosted was 2023 when actually Kevin Warren, back to your Bears, talked. He was just leaving Big Ten Conference as commissioner and heading to the Bears. And now we are hosting 2026 Big Ten. And Tony Petitti, this will be our first time hosting since he's become commissioner of the Big Ten Conference. So on March 11th at RPM Events, we'll be doing a tip-off luncheon with Tony Petitti and other alum, notable Big Ten alum, talking about their basketball experience. It'll be a great event. So a business and networking opportunity. And you can check our Instagram to get a link to register and tickets for that. Okay, and here's the QR code for that event as well if you want to pause your feed or just bust out your phone right now. Kara, thank you so much. I hope it's a great tourney this year. Nice to see you. Good luck
Go
to your
Hoosiers. Go Hoosiers. All right, Mike Kaplan. We're talking middle of March, okay?
Yeah.
I hope Woodstock Willie was right.
And
the spring comes back, and that we are smooth sailing all week for this tourney.
I have a question. In that QR code, was that a dinosaur in the middle of that?
You know what? I just saw the same thing. It looks, that's what I saw.
All right, take a look at that.
Look at that.
That is a dinosaur.
It looks like a little friendly T-Rex.
Look at the little T-Rex arms in there.
I don't know whose mascot that is, but maybe
That's
it's just
fantastic.
neutral.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right, it is super windy out there, and it's going to stay windy all day long. We have a wind advisory in effect until 4, gusting to 45 at Midway, about the same at O'Hare. And even where the winds aren't 40 plus, they're pretty close to that. So it is a hang on to your hats kind of a day. And it got cold enough for snow. It's not a lot, but it's going to snow here this morning lightly, maybe enough to coat the ground. I think the pavement is going to just end up being wet out there because that terrain is still warm. 46, it happened already. That was our high. Rest of the day, low to mid 30s, and that wind makes it feel even colder. And you're going to see some snow out there, maybe enough to whiten the ground. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and chilly, a low of 28. It will still be blustery, just not as windy as what we have out there now. The 7-day forecast, yeah, it looks like February this weekend, doesn't it? Highs in the mid to upper 30s. There'll be some periodic light snow chances here or there. No big snowstorm in sight. In fact, the next bigger system is a rainmaker accompanied by a warm-up next week. Could be some rain here on Wednesday. Jake Hamilton, who is this guy that you're talking to? Glenn somebody?
Yeah, he could probably play you in a movie, I think. We're going to talk with actor Glenn Powell all about his dark new comedy, How to Make a Killing. And the topic of murder seems to make the actor a little uncomfortable.
I don't want to actually kill my family in real life, you know.
I have never in my entire career had an actor so afraid of an interview being used in court at a later date as an example.
Our fun conversation with Glenn Powell and the stars of How to Make a Killing coming up right here on Good Day Chicago.
Fox 32.
Since the day I was born, my mother told me we were different. Yes, she had been disowned by her family, but someday I would become the sole heir. The real estate, planes, an island or two.
Beckett, no way. So are you living in the city now?
Yeah, I do. A little outside of it.
Whatever happened to the Redfellow family fortune?
I'll inherit it. Someday.
Well, call me when you've killed them all.
Okay. Yeah, new dark comedy. It's called How to Make a Killing. Hits theaters today, and the cast only sat down with one station in town. By that, we mean one individual in town. And by
well, I
that,
happen
we
to
mean
work for the
Jake
station
Hamilton.
that they sat down and talked with. Listen, this is really cool. So it's a new dark comedy. Glenn Powell stars as a man who learns he is in line to inherit a $1 billion family fortune. The only problem is there's a lot of people in front of him in that line. So, of course, the only solution is to kill everyone who stands in his way. Obviously, by nature of the plot, a lot of my questions about this movie involve the topic of murder. But Glenn Powell says he's afraid of these questions, and his answers could come back to bite him if he ever actually does end up in court. And guys, this is interesting. That kind of sounds like one of the stars of this film is a fan of Fox 32.
There were 7 of them. Between myself and $28 billion.
I think one of the most interesting things about Beckett is that when he sets his sights on someone that he's going to kill, he doesn't just randomly do it. He has to get to know them. He has to figure out what their weaknesses are, and he kind of has to match the murder to the person so it makes sense. So I'm sort of curious, if you were going to murder the 3 co-stars sitting next to you, what do you know about each of them that you could take advantage of and maybe use against them?
That's a very loaded question. You know, one of the things that we were talking about today, it's like the only junket I've ever been a part of in which you really have to get inside someone's brain on how you would actually murder someone. It's been pretty damning. We just don't like the time capsule nature of this whole thing. You know, just like this could age really poorly.
My goal in life is for a junket interview to be used as Exhibit A in any kind of a...
You don't get out of here until you come clean.
Have you heard about the Redfellows?
What about them?
I wonder who's next.
Between that really great moment in Hitman and this film, I love that we've kind of gotten to see in a way your American Psycho. And one of my favorite pieces of trivia I'd read is that apparently Christian Bale based Patrick Bateman on an old interview that Tom Cruise did with David Letterman back in the 90s. And he kind of referred to that intense friendliness. Was there anything you learned from Tom that maybe helped you form Beckett?
Nothing. I mean, when I call Tom, it's more about how to survive, you know, explosions and things like that. This one, yeah. No, I didn't rely on. I don't think I relied on any co-stars for this one. I think this one was more just from the imagination and fun. You know, I don't want to actually kill my family in real life, you know.
I have never in my entire career had an actor so afraid of an interview being used in court at a later date as an example.
Well, that's tell you, right? Exactly. Hey, by the way, while everyone's thinking, you are so in my algorithm, man. I watched so many interviews of yours. I can't. This is my first time talking to you.
You've never met Jay?
No, you're incrable. By the way, I'm watching.
Dude,
so much
that's
stuff. Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you. That means a lot.
You really come prepared.
Now I have to like live up to that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Already good question.
We just watch him spiral. Get super mean to Topher.
Topher Grace, fan of Fox 32. Who would have known?
Love it.
How to Make a Killing opens in theaters today, guys.
Man,
Great
that was
job.
a nice
That's
little
awesome.
feather
That was
in
a fun,
Jake's
yeah, it was a
cap.
fun. Well, you know, the station. That means he watches us.
That's awesome.
He's all over my algorithm too, Jake Hamilton.
It's just by nature of
I
just
spend-
posting videos
Yeah,
all the
he was
time.
admiring your profile earlier.
Exactly.
Between breaks.
Hair tips, you know.
That's it. That's it.
Fitness
really,
regiment, the whole thing.
That's
You're
all
not
I've got.
surprised.
I'm up to 12 push-ups now. Not in a row. I've just done 12. Just 12.
Oh,
Good
Jake, thank you
stuff.
so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
All right, switching gears. New this morning, Midway Airport is rolling out a faster way for you to get through security. Clear is launching biometric e-gates in the main terminal. It uses facial recognition software to confirm your identity, getting you through security in screenings in just 5 seconds. All you need to do is scan your boarding pass, then your face. But Clear says all of your data does stay private. All right, with the recent stretch of warmer weather, here's an important reminder for you.
Yes, first responders reminding everyone to stay off the ice. People are making this mistake. And video we have that captures the moment that rescuers had to pull 3 fishermen from icy waters right near the town of Johnsburg, that is out by McHenry. Thankfully, all 3 of them will be okay.
They ice fish out of here quite a bit all winter long. It's normally a pretty good area for it. But yeah, that ice hasn't been good for a couple days.
Temperatures may be taking a dip today, but it is not going to be cold enough to make the ice safe by any stretch. So officials say the warmer weather has made it very unstable. So please be careful out there. Our 9 o'clock hour of Good Day Chicago starts next. So keep it right here. Hope your Friday morning is off to a great start.